Hey there, welcome back to YogaRenew. My name is Melanie. In this series, we'll be exploring the planes of motion in yoga. The planes of motion are the planes in which we as humans exist, live, and move. Our yoga practice and other movement modalities help us to experience life and to move our bodies in all planes of motion. Let me explain what the three planes of motion are. So we have sagittal plane. So the sagittal plane goes right down the midline of the body, and it cuts the body into right side and left side. This is correlated to movements such as flexion and extension, flexion, extension, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Sagittal plane is, in the sagittal plane, we walk, we run, we hike, usually. We walk upstairs, we sit, we stand, we jump. A lot of life is experienced in the sagittal plane. You might think of all the activities that you might do in that plane of motion. Forwards and back is another way to put it. Now, even though most of life typically happens in the sagittal plane, there are other planes of motion which we do on a daily basis, but we just may not realize it. So the next plane of motion that I'm going to talk about is the frontal plane. So the frontal plane, it goes down the center of the body, but it divides the body into front side and into back side. So this correlates to side movements. Okay, so think like jumping jacks. So when we abduct the arm, meaning take them out to the side, or abduct the leg, that's moving in the frontal plane. When we bring everything from out to in, that's frontal plane, right? Even side to side, frontal plane, right? When we shuffle, I don't know, that's all I can think of at this moment. But side to side movements is frontal plane. Okay, so then we have transverse plane. Transverse plane is right through the waist, cuts the body into top side and bottom side. This is correlated to twisting movements. Okay, and any sort of twisting movement, even twisting of the arms, in, out, twisting of the legs, in, out, right? So you might think of when you're reaching across your body, maybe you're reaching to grab something on your desk, or you're reaching to tap somebody on the shoulder. So all of those are transverse movements. Now, our yoga practice isn't just in the sagittal plane. We know this, right? When we take our warrior twos or our triangles, or when we take our twisting positions. Right? So the yoga practice, it helps us to move in all planes of motion. It helps us to move in ways that combine the planes of motion. And in that way, it helps our body reach its fullest capabilities. So let's do a little bit of movement right now just to get in the feeling of moving in all planes of motion, even though it's something that as a yoga practitioner you're already doing. Now just coming into the practice just with a little bit of a different lens. This will be a super short practice, so what I would suggest having nearby, you can have your mat if you'd like. It's not necessary, you'll survive without it. I'm going to start up on a blanket, as we'll start in a seated position, and then have a couple yoga blocks. If you don't have those props nearby, again, it won't be the end of the world, but maybe just will make the practice a little bit more accessible. So let's jump right in. Come into a seated position. Again, I'm going to start up on the blanket just so that my pelvis is a little bit lifted. And then let's inhale, circle your arms up to the sky, right? So again, we're going side to side as we reach up. Now, as you exhale, bring your hands down in front of you, right in front of you, right? So now we're flexing. Walk your hands forward and then allow your forehead to fall towards the floor. It's totally fine if your head is nowhere near the floor. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, walk your hands back towards your legs and then walk them behind your body, behind. Press your fingertips down into the ground and then arch your spine so that you lift your chest up to the sky. So this is extension. So moving in the sagittal plane, again, forwards and back. And now sit upright. Again, circle your hands up to the sky. Now exhale, lower your right hand down to the floor. Bring your left arm up and over your ear. Okay, so now we're moving in that frontal plane. Inhale, take those arms up. Exhale, bring your left hand down. Bring the right arm up and over. Again, think about moving side to side. Now inhale, let's reach those arms up to the sky. This time, rotate your body to the right. So now we're moving in that transverse plane. Bring your left hand down to your thigh. Bring your right hand behind you. Inhale, sit up. Exhale, bend your elbows wide and turn, right? So again, top half, bottom half. Inhale, come center, reach those arms up to the sky. And now as you exhale, now turn your body to the left. Bring your right hand to your thigh. Left hand comes behind you. Inhale, sit up. Exhale, bend your elbows and turn. Now, let's just come to face center and let's work our way into a tabletop position. Place your hands onto the ground, place your shins onto the ground. You can move your the blanket out of the way if you have one there. And now let's move with cow and cat. Breathe in, lower the belly down, open up the chest and throat. Breathe out, round your spine. So move for a few rounds, just like this in cow and cat, right? So you may have come into a million cows and cats before, but now just come into it with a little bit of a different lens. Think sagittal plane movements, forwards and back. Okay, now steady your cows and cats, just come to somewhat of a neutral pelvis and spine. And now we're gonna take the body side to side. So what I'd like you to do is bring your right hip and your right shoulder towards one another, as if you're, like pinching the side of your body, and then come through center and then go the other way. Okay, so again, side to side. Just even out on either side. And you probably know where I'm headed now. Come back to a neutral tabletop. And this time, what I'd like you to do is circle your hips around in one direction. Keep the breath nice and steady. And then in the other direction. Okay, now work your way back to a neutral tabletop, downward facing dog. Bring your hands forward a little bit, walk your knees back a little bit, curl your toes, and lift your hips. Okay, so again, downward dog is a forwards and backwards movement. And we're flexing at the hips right here. Right? There's flexion at the shoulders as well. Now, inhale, bring your right leg high to the sky for a 3-leg downward facing dog. We can keep those toes facing the ground. Okay, now begin to open up your hips. So let's start to flip your right toes towards the side wall, and you can bring that right leg a little higher to the sky. So immediately we start to take into account the frontal plane, so moving a little bit side to side, and there's a little bit of transverse plane going on here when we turn our belly towards the right. Breathe in. Now, as you breathe out, come back to downward facing dog. Lower that right foot down to the ground. And then bring your left hand to cross beneath your body. Grab onto your right shin and see if you can peek underneath that right armpit as you turn your chest towards the right side of the room. Inhale and exhale. Bring that left hand back into your downward facing dog. Breathe in, come on out to plank pose. As you breathe out, lower the knees, lower the belly all the way down to the ground. Inhale, lift your chest for a cobra. Stay right here in cobra. Inhale. And then as you exhale, lay your heart forward and down. Let's go up and back into downward facing dog. Now, as you inhale, lift your left leg high to the sky for a 3-leg downward facing dog. So just lift the leg straight up as if you were in warrior 3 in your bottom half. And now let's open up the hips towards the side wall. Right, so now we start to move out to the sides. Breathe in. And as you exhale, now come back to downward facing dog. Bring your right hand to your left shin now. Turn your belly to the left. Turn your chest to the left. Inhale. And exhale. One more breath. Now bring your right hand back to the ground, downward facing dog. Inhale, coming out to a plank. Lower the shins down to the ground and then sit back into child's pose. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. Now, let's come into downward facing dog once more. Breathe in, lift your right leg high to the sky, 3-leg downward dog. But again, think warrior 3 in your bottom half, so we're just moving front and back. And now open up your hips as you take your toes towards the right side of the room. Lift that right leg up. And then as you exhale, now let's bring that right foot through. Go ahead and step your foot in between your thumbs. Grab hold of your blocks right here. And now everyone, spin your left heel down to the ground, warrior 2. Okay, so we open up our body towards the side wall. So there's multiple planes of motion involved here, but what we're really working with and what I want you to focus on is this side to side action. Breathe in. Now, as you breathe out, bring your hands back down to the ground. Let's come into a low lunge. Come through sagittal plane. And then right hand high to the sky for a low lunge twist, and we'll go right into transverse plane. Breathe in. Now exhale, place that right hand down to your block, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, lower yourself down to the floor. Inhale, lift for a cobra. Exhale into downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your left leg high to the sky, 3-leg down dog. Open up your hips, but keep the legs straight as you turn. And then step that left foot through in between your thumbs. Grab hold of your blocks right here. And then spin your right heel down to the ground. Warrior 2, rise up. Tee out those arms. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, bring your hands back down to the ground. Come through low lunge. Left hand high to the sky for a low lunge twist. Inhale. And as you exhale, place your left hand down to the ground. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come out to plank. Exhale, lower yourself to the floor. Inhale, come into a cobra. And then exhale, child's pose. Sit your hips back towards your heels. Walk your hands in towards your knees. Sit yourself up and then come back to your seated position that we found right at the beginning of this short movement practice. Have your hands on your lap. You could have your hands palms down, palms up. Maybe they're cupped in one another. Just close your eyes. Notice your breath. And even as you breathe, can you notice how the breath moves in all directions? Front, back, side, side, up, down. Just take a moment to acknowledge yourself as a multi-dimensional human being. Our yoga practice, it seeks to push us out to our boundaries in all ways, ultimately helping us come back to ourselves, right at the center. Just take a few more deep breaths here. And then you can lower your gaze towards the floor and begin to flicker open the eyes. Thanks for joining me here today. There's a few more videos if you're interested in the exploration of human movement, specifically focused on the planes of motion. Go ahead and check them out. I'll see you soon.